Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this week's video, we are going to talk about chords, chord progressions, and how you can kind of get the most with the tools that you have. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to write chord progressions because that's not really where my strengths lie, and there's a ton of videos on there that kind of cover this. But I'm going to teach you, well, not so much teach you, I'm going to show you 3 ways that I use different tools within the studio to create chord progressions to kind of add a little bit more to my music, because whilst I've been learning piano for multiple years now, I still kind of fall back into those just familiar chord progressions. So using these tools will kind of help me break out of that. Or if I have to write to make a sample pack, using some of these tools can help me kind of get through if I have to write 50 chord progressions, kind of tap the creative tank. So these can kind of help push it along. So the first one we're going to talk about is Suggester. Now, I use Suggester on my phone. I think that's the only place it comes. Maybe it comes as an app on iPad as well. But when you load it up, you can see it gives us this, we can pick a scale. And I find this is really good for when I'm sort of traveling and I might have the Polyand Tracker Mini with me. Sometimes I can't really sort of think of how a chord progression is going to sound in my head. Using this is really good, and also you can export these out as a MIDI file, so if you want to bring it into your session. So really quick, I'm just going to show you how it operates. Now, with each of these, it's not a sponsored video. I'm just doing it because, especially when you're starting out, it's really hard to kind of work out how to write good chord progressions, and these can sort of help you along. So we can pick a scale. Let's pick a scale. We'll go with, let's go with D, and we'll go natural minor. We've got our all of our keys highlighted there in the yellow. We'll go done. And then what we can do is from there, we can start to add chord progressions. So we can go plus, we can go chord suggestions, or we could go classic progressions. If you don't really know, classic progressions can be a really good place to start if you don't have an idea already. So we'll just go classic progressions, and then you can see it gives you a bunch in here to kind of get you going. We can go with, we'll go this one. You can hear that gives us a little progression. We can add that. We've added that in, and then we come out, and then we've got. Now you can see it just has the 3 letters for the triad. So we can alter this, and we can sort of make it a little bit fancier. We could go a 7th. So let's put that one in there, and now you can see it's changed to a 7th. We can do the same thing. You can come along. Maybe we want the 9th for this one. And you can hear it's sort of building it up a little bit more. Obviously, we can come along and you can add more chords in. It gives you triads, 7ths, and all that good stuff. But this is a cool way, especially if I've written a little idea on the Tracker Mini. I've come to the point where I've got a little bit of drums, maybe have like a little sound or something like that. And now I'm like, oh, I really want to do a progression. I don't have that keyboard to kind of rough out ideas. I could use this application, kind of get me across the line and play some sort of a bit of a chord progression. I would sort of go along and have sort of one headphone out, and then I'd have my phone next to me, push play, and then what I usually do is I'll just and just kind of jam along with it to kind of get an idea. And then once I've got that idea, I'll then use the Excel spreadsheet, which is known as the tracker workflow, and kind of put in that chord progression, and then I can move on to the next element. So yeah, Suggester, it's a really good, Suggested 2 is out now. It's been out for a while, but it's a really good application, and I use this maybe sitting on the couch or when I'm traveling around. I don't tend to use it too much within the studio just because I have other bits and pieces, but again, it's a really good way to kind of get some chord progressions going, so then you can then put them into your music and you don't have to worry about sort of knowing too much about writing a chord or a chord progression. So the next one is using the new Launchkey Mk4. Full disclosure, I do work for Novation, but I still use this chord feature a lot. So I have a little bit of a remix that I've started. I already have a chord progression, but I want to show you the sort of the workflow that I would go through to jam out some chords. And the way that I find this a little bit better than Suggester when it comes to this sort of thing. So we can go to the scale and we're going to be in F minor. Let's just confirm that. Yeah, we're in F minor. And then from here, I would go Shift and then chord map. And then that brings me over to a little chord progression. So again, quick run through, we have Adventure 1 and Explore, Adventure dial and the Explore dial. And these are going to give us variations on the chord progressions, different progressions. I think there's 40 different ones once you go through everything. We can have the chord as a normal. We can spread it, and then we can go widest again. So, and then the last one gives us like a roll. I like to have a little bit on, just because, just like a little bit, not everything coming down on the same time. So what I would do, we can just find a, don't like that one. Okay, I've just chosen a random one, and I would play it with the music. So this is like a little bit that I've got I've put together already. And then I would just start jamming out the different pads. It has a few in there that kind of work, but there's one that that's all right. Not so much, but you get the idea. You kind of cruise around the Adventure and the Explore to find a good chord progression or a good sort of collection of chords that will work with the music that you're writing. Or if you haven't written anything, you might just have a simple drum beat. can see, you just kind of go through and find something that's going to work. The thing that I love about this is you can just jam it. Like, I was kind of jamming on the iPhone with the Suggester 2 app, but this is a little bit easier with pads as opposed to just hitting your screen. And just, I find it when you can choose an element that you want to use it with. So kind of come across, maybe use this. You can put some effects on there and kind of get something a little bit more vibey than just playing a standard sort of cheap piano sound. The thing that can be a little bit hit and miss is just trying to find a good chord progression, a good collection of chords that will work with your song. When I'm using this, it will tend to be one of the first elements that I put in there. As you can hear, I've already got a bass line and I already have written a chord progression for this already. So trying to just fit something in there really quick for the video, it doesn't tend to work too well. It can be a little bit hit and miss, but when I use this first, when I'm writing a chord progression, I think it works really well because I can just find a collection of chords that I really like, and then I can just kind of jam out until I get something that I like, put it in, just record it in, and then kind of maybe push and pull some bits to get it in time, and away I go. And the last tool that I like to use for chord progressions is Captain Chords. So for this, I just have that same sort of chord as that same piano that we've been looking at. So we'll come across, and then within Logic, it is in the MIDI effects, and I'll go Captain Chords. One thing that I hate is it always gives me pop-ups like this. Yeah, I don't have the latest version, but I don't want a pop-up every time I open. And it's literally every time I open the app, it gives me the pop-up. I don't want that. Like, I know there's an update. I don't care. Just leave me alone, sort of thing. So we'll come across, we're already in F minor. And then here you can see it gives you your chords up here. We can choose a progression. We can choose the timing. The thing I really like about this, it's really easy to change over chords. So let's just choose a progression. Let's just go this one. So we've got our chord progression in here. We can choose to make it a little bit more complex. So we just added that another low sort of bass note there. Now we have our 4 chords in. We can then change the timing. Got 4 segments, so we want to go with this one. Okay, you can see it's changed that. And then if we want to change the chords just a little bit, so we got F minor here, go minor 7th. Maybe this one, we might want to change it. First inversion. Nah, let's go back to the way it was. Now you can see this is a really good way to kind of get some complex chord progressions, but the thing that I don't like about it is it's very clicking the mouse. There's not really any hands-on. So that's the The good thing is it's really easy to change the chords, add some more complexity, change the octaves. It's really easy to tweak the chords once they're in there. So again, all of these things have pluses and minuses, but yeah, it's just what your workflow is and how you want to work. And I just wanted to show you these 3 different tools because it's so easy to buy a MIDI pack, but it's way easier to maybe invest in some more tools within the studio to kind of give you some more options when it comes to writing chord progressions and adding chords to your track, because I feel like getting your musical message out there is the most important thing. And however you do that, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you can't write massive chord progressions on the piano. All that matters is the song at the end and if people like it or not, and then resonates with them. So again, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today and hopefully you've got something out of it. And the biggest thing is, hopefully this has inspired you to create something. And until next time, see you later.